All right, good evening to you all. So now we'll begin this session from the point that we finished from last week. Okay, so we were writing our first program in assembly languages, and it was the minimum program that we were writing. So first we'll begin with the terminal. Press, if you don't remember how to open terminal, Control Alt T. Right. So I was writing my program in this desktop, my program directory. So I want to change directory. To desktop. Right. So now we are in this directory. So if I list the files, I have only the assembly file that I had written last time. Unfortunately, I have also forgot to disable the waiting room. Otherwise, I will not get that message to admit all. But never mind. So we'll begin from the point that we stopped at last week. So in order to open this one, just use gedit. The name of the file. Name of the file is a-node1.asm, and sign. Then you will get the assembly file opened in the gedit text editor. So last week we wrote this program along with comments. So if I just refresh your mind, what was this program about? So this was our first exercise to write a program which starts its execution but does nothing and exit. So for that one, we call the system interrupt identified by the number one. The number one system call is for exiting. Number one is for exiting. So if we call this interrupt, it will check what is in the EAX or RAX register, and it will check the RBX register as its argument. If it is having 1 and 0 in those registers, it will exit. So we'll check whether it happens, right? So I asked you to install the NetWide assembler. So I told you to install it, and I gave you a command. So what was the command? So if you don't have MIS to install, you can install even it now. Sudo apt -get install NASM. Then you will be prompted for the password. Then provide the password. Then the NetWide assembly will be installed. So I have already installed the NetWide assembly, so I need not to worry about installation. For this installation, you need to have the internet connection. right? So my one will stop soon. Yes, because the NASM is already installed in my machine. So what I have to do is now this is an assembly file, but the fact is the computer does not understand this one. So we need to assemble this, and we are going to use the NetWide assembly NASM for this one. So in order to assemble this one, that means to convert this assembly language instructions into machine language, the language which the CPU understands, we need to assemble this. So now today we'll discuss how we can assemble this. So for this one, as I have told you, you need to install the NetWide assembly. So the instruction is NASM, standing for the NetWide assembly. And after that, you need to give the format of the machine language instructions that you need to assemble. So for that one, you have to specify -F. -F means format. -F means format. I think you can clearly hear me, and you can see what I am typing on the screen. So if you don't see and can't hear, just stop me and let me know at the moment. I think I have shared the screen and it's being recorded and I am being heard to you. Okay. So the NetWide assembly is the command, and -F is the letter for specifying the format that we expect for assembly. So the format is, if your machine, this Linux installation is a 64-bit installation, then your format should be Win64, stating for Windows 64. So I'll repeat it. So if your Linux installation is a 64-bit installation, or it is a 64-bit operating system, that means your laptop or your machine is having a 64-bit processor and also a 64-bit Linux installation or Ubuntu installation, then your format must be Windows 64. Otherwise, if your version is Windows 32, then you must specify it is being assembled for Windows 32-bit or 32-bit processor and registers. In that case, if a machine is capable of running only 32-bit instructions, then all of the registers must also be not RAX, etc. It should be EAX likewise. If your program is written for targeting a 32-bit processor or registers, then this assembly code must also be changed to EAX likewise. Otherwise, you will get a compile error. Right? So I have 64-bit. So I'm going to stick with Win64. If you have 32-bit, then make sure you specify the format as Windows 64. Then from this assembly code, first we are going to create something known as an object file. So object file is the machine language instruction, but the non-executable version of machine language instruction. That means the machine can understand, but still it cannot execute. So that object file is being identified by the symbol O. Symbol O stands for the object file. So we'll see what an object file in a moment. So the symbol O stands for object file. And after that, you have to specify the name of the object file. And the extension of the object file is .o. I'll say my name of the object file is obj, that standing for object.o. So first we specified what is the format, that the targeted format. Then we specify what is the object file that we want to create. So object file is an assembled, that means an assembled version of the assembly file that we want. That means we are going to assemble it to machine language. It contains machine language, but it is not still executable. That means it cannot be run, right? So after that, this is optional for the programmers to understand. If we want, we can create a list file. The list file will contain the virtual memory address and the assembly language instructions and machine language instructions. So I'll show you the list file after I assemble this. So then you will understand. But for the moment, so first we need to specify the format. So the format of the list file is specified as -L. Format of the list file is specified as -L. -L. So I'll just name the list file as list.l. I'll just name the list file as list.l. So we specified the format, then the name of the object file, then the name of the list file. Then at last, so still the NetWide assembler does not know what assembly language program we are going to assemble. So for that one, you must give the name of the assembly file. So what is the name of the assembly file? It is a01.asm. So if you saved your assembly file in another name, then give your assembly file's name that you create. So I have my one is a01.asm. So this is this. So now if you go and see this directory, which this a01.asm is there, it is in desktop my program directory. It is in desktop my program directory. So if you double click, you will get what are the contents inside that one. Yes. So you're only having one file known as a01.asm. So when you run, when we run this command, we'll see what happens. So to run a written command, you need to specify the command, then press enter. Now I'm going to press enter. Okay, but it will only be assembled if your assembly program does not have any errors. So if your program is having errors, you will be given what kind of error you have encountered. So it will tell in this file, assembly file, in line 11. In line 11, we have an error. An instruction has been expected by the assembler. An instruction has been expected by the assembler. So in line 11, so we can go back and debug our program. Debug means correct errors. So in here, it is expecting an instruction, but the fact is, so I have written so many comments here. So when a comment goes to the next line, it has not identified it as a comment. here, when this comment goes to the next line, it has not identified it as a comment, but as an instruction. So what you can do is, if your comment is going for the other line, just insert a semicolon in front of that line so that it will also be identified as a comment. So here also, I think we'll get this down to bottom and insert it as a comment. So I'll just tabulate this one-to-one line, then you can easily identify comments. So you do in your program also like this. So since you need comments to understand this program, deleting them is not good at this moment. So just comment out if your comments have gone to the next line. So I think this is okay for now. And when you make any changes, just make sure that you save it. So how to save it? Control S. Press Control S. Then this assembly file will be saved. Then go back. So I think you have finished this one, correctly commenting, so that the assembler will not make a mistake that your comment is an instruction. Then what you can do is go back to your terminal. Then with up or down arrow keys, you can move back to your previous command. So if I press up arrow key once, you will get the previous command. If you press another one, you will get the command one before the previous. So if you press up again, you will get this one. Likewise, you can go back to your previous command. So now I want to get this command back. So I will press down twice again and I got the previous command. So if I press enter, now I can see there are no errors. That means it has been assembled properly. Now I can expect, okay, now the assembly has worked. That's why I didn't get any errors. Now if you go to your file explorer and see, now you can see there are two additional files along with a01.asm known as list.l and object file. So these are nothing but the ones that we asked the compiler to create. So in this one, I asked the compiler to create an object file and a list file. So what is the purpose of creating an object file? Purpose of creating an object file is to create an executable file. Executable file means a file which can be directly executed by an operating system. So this object file, even though it has machine language instructions, it cannot be executed directly. So we need to first create an executable file. For that one, we need to have an object file. That's why we created this list file. Okay. So you go back to terminal and open this list file in gedit. You can even double click here or right click and open with gedit. But to understand this one better, just open this one in gedit. So what are we going to open? List.l. List.l. So you can see what does the list file contains. Okay, so the list file in this section, in this text section, it is almost same as the assembly program. In this section, I'm talking about this section. But I have commented that this start is the place where this assembly language program actually begins. So as just like I have explained, you can see. So you can see in this one, this purple color thing is nothing but it is the memory address. This purple color thing is the memory address, not the actual memory address, but the virtual memory address. So what is virtual memory is not the real memory, but a memory just it is going to map with the real memory. So a virtual memory begins with 0 and increments by 1 by 1. So at the beginning, the virtual memory is 0. At that one, we have our first instruction in assembly language, move RAX to 0. So the whole assembly language instruction, move means copy actually. This assembly language instruction in machine language is nothing but this whole assembly language instruction, move RAX to 0, can be represented. So it has been assembled by the NetWrite assembler as this. This is the whole instruction along with the register values. So this is the instruction. This whole instruction in binary is this. So what does the list file do is, it will show us the corresponding assembly language instruction and the machine and language instruction along with its virtual memory address. So this instruction, this whole instruction begins at virtual memory 0, and it is having a size of 5. It is having a size of 5 bytes. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 hexadecimal digits means what? 10 hexadecimal digits means, so a byte means 8 bit. A byte means 8 bit. A hexadecimal digit contains 4 bits. A hexadecimal digit contains 4 bits. So 1 byte has 2 hexadecimal digits. 1 byte has 2 hexadecimal digits. So this one is having 10 hexadecimal digits. That means 10 hexadecimal digits means 5 bytes. So the next instruction must begin with at the virtual memory address 5. So as expected, so since this is having 5 bytes, the next memory address, as expected, as I explained you, the next memory address is beginning with position 5. So after 5, that means after 5 this is there. That is what it means. After 5 this one is there. So it is to copy RBX 0. Copy RBX 0. So it is also that instruction also 5 bytes. So 5 plus 5, 10. So 10 is the next virtual memory address. So A means 10. After 9, there are 16 hexadecimal characters. After 9, it is A, B, C, D, E, F. So the 10 means A. At A, there is this called CD80 is the corresponding machine language instruction for interrupt 128. So it is worth remembering this CD80, interrupt 128, or the system called interrupt, or this software, particular software interrupt that we are interested in. So now you can understand what is the purpose of having list file, that is to analyze the machine language instruction and to have a link or some relationship between your assembly language instruction and machine language instruction, that is for the programmer. Yeah, this is optional. Even without this, you can create the object file, no problem. But list file is for the beginner or the programmers to identify and debug errors. For those purposes, list file exists. So that is the purpose of list file. Okay, now we'll move forward. So now we have created object file and the list file using this command. So how are we going to create an executable file? Executable file means the program which can be directly executed by the operating system. It can be loaded into memory, and then the machine language instructions inside that program could be executed by the CPU. That is the meaning of executable file. So for that one, you have to link this object file. You have to link this object file to the executable file. That is done by the command link, but the spellings are LD. Link, LD. So what we are going to link to, that is the format is also a type of an object file, because it is also going to contain instruction, machine language instructions. So the the format of the executable file is also a type of an object file. Executable file is also a kind of object file. So what we are going to create is link this object file to an executable file of format of, it is also an object file, a type of object file, but the executable file is having extension X. Executable file is having extension X. So from which file are we going to create? We are going to create this executable file from object file. So we have to type the name of this object file. That is, the name of my object file is obj.o. obj.o, right? So just press enter. Then you get done if you are successful, otherwise you will get an error. Then you can see that an additional file known as exe.x was created. That is the file that we asked to create. So it is a directly executable file. Executable file can be run by this Linux terminal directly. So how to run it is, so you have to say that this executable file is in this directory. So before running any executable file, so what you have just to do is just give the directory to that executable file, then it will run that executable file. So since we are in this directory inside my program, and this executable file is also in this directory, so we have to say that this executable file is in this directory. So the letters specifying this directory is ./. It says this directory. ./, say that it is this directory. This directory, what I'm going to do is, so run exe.x. Run exe.x in this directory. So what happened? So it ran, but nothing happened. So happening nothing is what we wrote. We didn't. What happened was, when we ran this executable file, this program ran. Which program? This assembly program. So what does this assembly program contain was? So it will just open the executable file, then then exit, open and exit, nothing else. So this is the minimum assembly program, open and exit. So open and exit means we cannot even see that it ran. We cannot see any changes. We cannot see anything displayed on the console. So it just opened and ran. But you can see there are no errors. When I ask it to run the executable file, there were no errors. That means it has been run successfully. That is the conclusion that we can get. So that was our first task. Create a program which opens and do nothing, and we assembled it using the NetTide assembler, and we created two files, the object file and the list file. List file is optional, that is for us to understand the virtual memory addresses and the link between the machine language instructions and the assembly language instructions. What are the corresponding assembly language instructions for the machine language instructions, etc. That is optional. Then we use this LD, so the link command, to create an executable file from the object file, right? So this is just by typing this NASM assembling command and LD. So suppose now I do some change. Now suppose I do some change in this assembly file. For example, I'll give another command. After this one, I'll copy RAX to 1 and save. So now what happens? So now I have changed the source code. That means the assembly file. But since I have already assembled this one, and created this list file, object file, and executable file from the previous assembly file, these changes will not be visible available in the executable file. So if you do any change in the assembly program after assembling, then you need to reassemble this. So for that one, you have to type these commands again. So NASM -fs, this one, you have to reassemble. So this is somewhat not a good approach. So we have a different approach to get these two commands, to embed these two commands in one file and call that file at once. So that is known as make utility in NASM. So we'll employ that make utility. So if you want, you can create a copy of this folder to this desktop and change directory into that one and continue, or you can even just delete, like I do, just delete these 3 files. Just delete. So now I'm going to explain the alternative method of assembly, an assembly language program with a easy method, that is known as make utility in NASM. Since when you again and again change this source file or the assembly program file, it is time consuming if you do give those commands, and it is not good approach if you type those NASM command and LD command again and again, or you have to navigate back into again and again using arrow button. Then it is not an easy method. So we are going to use the make utility. So for that one, first you have to create a file known as make file in the same directory. So go back to the terminal. So we are going to do the same thing that we did using these two commands in an alternative method known as make utility, right? So first we need to create a file. So how to create a file? In the first lecture, I told you the command to create a file is known as touch. Touch. The name of file is make file. Make sure the spellings are exactly like this, otherwise it will give a compiler. So give the command touch make file. So what is the meaning of touch? Touch means create. So there are no files now, only assembly file. So if you give touch, if you give touch make file and press enter, you can see a file known as make file was created, right? So now I want you to open this one using gedit. Now I want to you to open this one using gedit. So open this using gedit, the name of the file, just like we opened the assembly file. Make file and press N. Then it will open this empty file. So in this make file, we are going to give these two commands, the link command and the assembling command. Link command and assembling command, right? First, we have to give the link command. And in this one, first we have to specify what we are going to create. So we are going to create an executable file from object file. We are going to create an executable file from object file. So we have to say this is executable file. We are going to create from object file. How we are going to create? So in order to insert this command, first you have to it is in the syntax. It is specifying you have to insert a tab. Here insert a tab. One tab. Insert one tab. Then the link command. Link command means link directory. the command that we gave previously. -o from the object file. From object file, create executable file. From the object file, create executable file. And link by creating executable file from the object file. This we did a moment ago. And to specify that we are going to create executable file object file, you have to say exe.x colon. So this is destination, this is source. This is destination file, this is source file. This is the source file. Sorry, this is the other way, no? We have executable file from object file. So I made the mistake. So just correct this as we need to create an executable file from object. And after that, that means in the correct order, before this we have to assemble this one. We have to assemble the object file. We have to, that means create this object file from this source file. This is the source file. a01.asm is an assembly file, is the source file. From the source file, the target or the destination file is object file. So before we write this command, we have to specify that. So the targeted file is now the object file. Targeted file is now the object file. The source file is a01.asm. Source file is now this one. So after that, press a tab, then the previous command like before. What was the previous command? Nasm Then you give the format. If it is Windows 64-bit Windows, give the operating system is 64. Otherwise, give in 32. Right? Then the name of the object file, that is this one, obj.o. If you want, you can give the list file. If you don't want, you can omit this one. But for the moment, I'll give the name of the list file also, list.l. And at last, the name of the source file. Here, the source file is a01. Here, the destination is object. The source is a01. Here, the destination is object. But in this command, object file is the source file. Executable file is the destination or the targeted file. So that's it. So this should be, we save this one in a file known as make file. So press Ctrl S and close this. So now you can see there are only two files, assembly file and the make file. So the command, the NetWrite assembly allows us to use this command known as make. Just specifying this simple command make and press enter. What happens is these two commands are automatically run, and all of the files that we want will be created. So first, the assembling file will run, and it will create object file and list file, and then after that, the link command will create this executable file. So we'll see whether it still works like previous. So how to run this one? Executable file, this directory dot / is for this directory. In this directory, run exe.x. So it ran, nothing happened. So that is the nature of our program. A program which opens and nothing happens. So this one is very easy. For if you do again some change in your source file. Now if I change this to 2 and Ctrl S, save, and what you can do to recompile or reassemble this object file and recreate this executable file, you have to do only a simple thing, just type make and enter. So these two commands will be automatically run. So this is relatively simple than rather than manually entering these two commands again. That is why the make utility is there. So those are the two methods which you can use to assemble a given or a written assembly program. So I hope this is clear to you. And I'll upload this video. I'll share this video today in your Drive folder. Then you can rewatch this if you miss something and practice this. So this, you need to remember these things. So practice this. Remembering means nothing to remember, just understanding this one is, if you understand this, then you will automatically remember this. No need to by heart this thing. If you understood, then you will automatically remember. Right. So that is the end of the first workshop. And now we'll go for the second workshop. So the second workshop is on reading and writing to console. So what is console? Console means this command prompt that we can enter strings for this Linux terminal. So now in the first program, we didn't do anything. It just opened and exit. In the second program onwards, we expect first to write something to this screen. So we'll go for the question. Okay, I forgot to upload this workshop to your Drive folder. I'll upload this after finishing this lecture, this meeting. After finishing this meeting, I'll upload these 2 questions. So in the first one, we are asked to write an assembly program to print hello world to the screen. So you may have done this using high-level programming languages. It is very easy, just one command. If it is C, you have to just enter inside the main function, printf, inside double quotes, hello world. That's it. But in assembly, you can't do it like that. You have to set the registers from which one this message is going to, which register this hello world is stored, and after that how it is going to print, to how much extent you have to print, to which register you have to store this. Everything you have to specify in low details, in low level. In high level program, we are just entering this word, then the compiler is responsible for telling that to the CPU and assigning those memory and giving instructions to the CPU, etc. That is the responsibility of the compiler, and those things have been defined. But in assembly languages, we can't do. If we want to just type the hello world, we have to go to high amount of details. So we'll begin this program. If time does not permit us, we'll stop, but we'll begin this one, how to write it, right? So I recommend you to create a new folder. I recommend you to create a new folder and begin. Because deleting, that means replacing the existing assembly file with your new program, it is not a good practice. Then at the end you will have nothing. At the end you will have nothing. So because of that, just create a new directory. So I'll give with an example. So how to go? So now I want to change back my directory to the previous directory, that is desktop. That is done by cd double dot. Go back to previous directory. So now I'm in the desktop directory. So I will create a new directory known as I'll say workshop 2. So now you can see there is a new directory created. So I will change my directory to that workshop 2. Now I'm inside that directory. So now I'll begin everything from the beginning, a new program, new assembly language. So make this a habit. Don't change the previous assembly file. Just keep it for your references. Otherwise, at the end, when you, after about 7 weeks, when you refer, then you will have nothing to refer because you have replaced the original assembly file and you won't be able to refer back to your previous files. Okay. So just create the assembly file. I'll say a02 dot assembly and then open it using gedit. And open it using gedit. Okay. So I'll avoid comments as much as possible in this one. So what was the first section that we had? It was the text section. Text section contains the assembly language instructions. And every assembly language program begins with the start. So first you have to define it. Global start. And the program execution begins here. So what was our task? So our task was to print some text, hello world, into the string. So that task, that hello world, that is known, a set of characters is known as a string. Hello world is a string. So one character is stored as a byte. One character is byte. So these characters are stored as ASCII code. ASCII code. ASCII means American Standard Code for Information Interchange. That is the way that the strings or keyboard characters are stored or communicated in the computer. That means if you press a letter A, an ASCII code will be transferred, and that ASCII code needs a 1 byte, right? So first of all, before doing anything, we need to create a variable and store the set of strings. Set of strings in the sense this that character set of characters as a string inside the computer memory. So this section text is to write assembly instruction, and there is another section that I didn't introduce in the initial program known as data section. So we identified it as section.data. So since I didn't teach this one, I'll comment this one. So this is a section. This is the section to store initialized data. This is a section to store initialized data. So what do you mean by initialized data? Sorry, not initialized data, initialized variables. So variable is a value which can contain data in it. Variable, so for example, in your high level program languages, you might have come across something like declaring variables, character S, integer X, likewise. That means you define a variable, and sometimes you might have come across integer X equal 5. So that is initializing a variable. That means you define an X as an integer and initialize it to 5. So if you have defined a variable and initialize it to some value, so those initialized variables must be included in this data section. So the set of characters or the strings that we want to display in the screen or in the Linux console, we should store as in the data section, because we are initializing it to some particular value. So the initialization is done as follows. So first, before initialization, you have to give a name. So in our high level languages, integer X. So X means what? X is the name. Name in the sense that name is the label which refers to the memory address of that variable. The value X does not actually contain the integer stored in it. If I'm taking a high level language example, if I initialize integer X to 5, the value X does not contain that value 5. X is the memory address pointer, actually pointer to the memory address. So likewise, the variable name should be first specified. That is the address that points to the memory address location. So I'll say this as text label to give the meaning of this variable. So text label means what? Name of the variable. Text label means I'm telling this is name of the variable. So then we have a keyword db. db means define bytes. Define bytes. So what are the bytes we are going to define? I'm going to define hello world. Hello world. But not only that. So if we want to print something to the screen, and if suppose we want to go for the next line, we have to tell the console the way to go for the next line. So the next line or the new line, there's something known as new line character. So the number 10 is the new line character. So once we press hello world, and then we also give the new line character to go into the next line. And as a convention, then we have to pass this null character or 0. That means to specify that this is over, right? So I'll comment out those things. So text label is the variable name containing pointer to memory address. So when you come to the new line, you have to enter a semicolon again, otherwise it will give you an assembling error like before. Memory address location containing pointer to memory address location, right? db is define bytes, and 10 is line feed or new line character. 0 is the null character, right? So I think the time is up for today. 1 hour has gone. So we'll continue the rest of this program, how to write this one into the console, not from next week, beginning from Thursday, 8:30 a.m. So we'll meet on that day and continue this rest of this program. So if you have any question from the content that we did today, you can ask me now. Anything that you didn't understand? Right. So the silence seems that you may not have come across any questions. So we'll meet on Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Okay. So I'll end this meeting.